great. Why don't we go on a family date morning? And he said, no. He said, no, I want to stay with grandma. And we are like, you just want your iPad because daddy just got back from Miami, right? And so he said, no, I want to stay home with grandma. And so I was like, well, that kind of sucks. And dad thought it kind of sucked because we wanted to spend some time with them. And so we took the iPad with us. So we still wanted to stay with grandma, even though we took the iPad. And so this kid is driven as you know what, and he's going to prove his point that he actually didn't want to stay because of the iPad. So I got some work to do with this child. You know what I'm saying? He's that clear that even if you take the iPad, I'm still staying because I want to stay with grandma. And so I don't buy it. I don't buy it one bit. He asked me to bring him back bacon and eggs and avocado toast. And I was like, what is going on here? So I had a date morning with my husband. So I had a really nice date morning with my husband. So for all of you guys who ever ask me, do I love Puerto Rico? I love Puerto Rico. And the reason why I love it is because of mornings like this morning when I can actually see my family and spend time with them. And I don't know what happens on stateside, but it feels like quite the hustle everywhere else but on the island for me. Make sense? Okay, so this fits perfectly into what I want to talk to you about today. And that is that overcommitted people don't ever win. Ouch. Overcommitted people don't ever win. And the reason why they don't ever win is because when you're overcommitted, it's absolutely impossible to do a dynamic, powerful follow through, hit the mark. Like it's not happening. Do you know what I mean? Like you can have massive amounts of bandwidth and do well, but you are missing the biggest gold in your life, right? Like you're missing the biggest gold in your life. And so I want to ask you right now, if you are an overcommitted person, put C in the chat, because if there's none of you, then I'm not going to talk about this. Okay, like I will shift gears, talk about something else. But if you are an overcommitted person and you know it, I want you to put a C in the chat right now so that I can see you. Okay, so this is big. So last week, I think I said that, stress can really make you an overcommitted person. And the reason why stress can make you an overcommitted person is because you feel like you have to do everything. It doesn't make it real, but if you feel like you have to do everything. So I'm going to give you a quick framework, and then I'm going to ask you to, instead of watch me going live today, actually take this framework and do some work in your life right now. You guys good with that? Yes? Are we good to have a forward movement? Put move in the if we're ready to have a forward movement, put move in the chat, like declare it. I'm going to move today. I'm going to move things forward. I'm going to get some things off my to-do list. There is light at the end of the tunnel for overcommitted people. And I will tell you, the cost is so high when you're overcommitted. You are literally missing your life. You're missing your best money. You're missing, for some of you guys in corporate America, you're missing promotions, you're missing incentives, entrepreneurship, you're missing, retirement money, you're missing investment money, whatever it looks like. We are missing our biggest financial wins. And that's what I get to talk about, because that's kind of the piece of the pie that I hold, is being responsible around this financial piece, right? And so you're missing it if you're overcommitted. So here's the framework that I want you to write down and answer the question when I do it, because there's nothing worse than looking at notes later and it goes in a drawer. You know what I mean? Like we don't need the notes to go in a drawer, or for you to move it around your kitchen table and then your office, and then it goes on the bed, then it goes on the dresser. Like, don't do that. Let's just do the work right now. Guys, ready to do that? Yes? Yes? We ready to do that? Okay. If you were to ask yourself, what are your top priorities? Write them down. What are your top priorities? Okay. So turning in my PAG for Zone event, which is my program at a glance, meeting with my executive assistant is a priority for me to get something straight. Meeting with some stuff inside our new house, and meeting with a key person for that is important. It's a priority. You know what I mean? Like, what are the top priorities that they're weighing heavy on your head right now? So just jot those down really quickly. They're weighing heavy on your head right now. They're just things that either excited about or not excited about, but they need to get done. Okay? Okay. So now I want you to look at that list and circle the most important thing. And I want to caution you here. My son and my husband, my mother, they're the most important people on the planet to me, right? But I can't spend time with them or enjoy them if a certain priority is not handled in my business. You guys follow me? So I don't want to compete against your personal life, because somebody might have put down, I'm not spending enough time with my kid, or I'm not dating my spouse, or whatever. So I get that is absolutely important. But if your business or your finances are not in check, and I'm not saying it overrides your personal life, I'm just saying, like, you guys realize, like, it's hard to be present in those areas. If you've got something work related or ministry related or your doctor's practice related, if you have something career driven, it's very, very hard to be present with them, because you know you need to get this thing done. And you know it's important. What is that thing? What is that thing? Okay. And I want you to write that down or circle it if you wrote it down. Everybody got it? Put yes if you got it. Everybody got it? Put yes if you got it. Okay. Okay. So now what I want you to do, and if you didn't get it, there's one person didn't get it, then you just need to go re-listen to this again and just walk through it or make a decision. Okay. So for me, Zone Event is in 18 days. There's just a lot. I've made big promises to the people in the room. Like, yeah, I think I know, I don't say this like lightly. I'm not putting smoke and mirrors up. Like, I just know that event is going to create some serious financial freedom for people. I know it, because nobody teaches you how to make money, multiply it, invest it, do it with or without money. I'm even bringing like health, like there's just some things at that event. Like, how come 4 of my friends have been cured of cancer, right? Like, like, these are things that, like, money is important, but so are these other areas. You know what I mean? And when you got something that works, like, you don't have to pound the coffee. You don't have to, when you got some, eventually your body's going to break down. Eventually your finances are going to break down. Eventually these things are going to break down. And so I've brought all of it to Zone Event so that you have a support system, right? Whether or not you like join us in masterminds or do any of the stuff that we do, you know what I'm saying, you guys? Like, you're going to walk out rich. You're going to walk out rich, and you're going to walk out rich in relationships, rich in resources. You're going to walk out rich. And so there are things that I need to button up with Zone Event that I literally have to tell everybody else, listen, like, no more meetings, no more anything, enough. Like, it's done. Okay. But you say it and you sound like a BIT, you know what I'm going to say, right? Sound like a bad person when you say it. I feel like a bad person when I say it. So how do I work this out? Well, first you have to have people understand what it is that you mean. Okay. So sometimes somebody needs to get information from you, at least in my world, to be able to do their job. That's very different than me ending up on an hour meeting. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Because meetings kill my life. Does that make sense? So does text messaging. People just texting me kills my life. So now you got to figure out what your number one priority is. Mine's Zone Event. So what about Zone Event? Okay, so now look at your number one priority. What about that number one priority? What does it look like complete? Write that down. I'm telling you, people don't know. What does that look like complete? Finished, done, complete, off your brain, right? What does that look like complete? Write that down. What does that look like complete? Just jot down some notes. You guys on Instagram, hi. So now what I want you to say is first of all, get into the feeling of that for a second. How good are you going to feel when that number one priority is done? Like really, just go in the chat in a second. Like let's fill up the ecosystems, the atmosphere of social media right now. Let's give it some space. Let's give it some bandwidth. What is that going to feel? Weight lifted. It feels so good, accomplished, like I can breathe. That's the experience I get. Like I feel like I can breathe all of a sudden, right? So much less stress, amazingly grateful, lightness, confidence, right? No more pressure, anxious, right? Feeling accomplished, exhale. I can breathe, I can sleep, which is just going to make you a nicer person, right? Happy, right? Less stressed, accomplished, freedom. Okay, look at those words. And here's what's wild about that. All those words are leadership words. All of those words are leadership words, and they're 100% in your power to create. But what you must do is learn how to lead the rest of the people and the situations in your life. Write down the word lead. You need to know how to lead it so that you can get space to complete it. So that's a kind of a cool like headline. You need to know how to lead it so that you can complete it, right? And so I want you to get really clear here. What is stopping you from completing it? And I would actually love you to write that in the chat because it helps me a lot to see what you're contending with. It gives me some intimacy into your life. What is getting in the way of you being able to complete it? Okay, business is getting in the way. What do you mean? Time, finances. Yeah, but who's the person or what's the situation that's getting in the way of you completing your number one priority? Don't be overly responsible on this answer, because I see some people saying, I'm the reason why. I get it. You are. All of us are, right? Like it's never other people. But what is the, like for me, it's not having enough chunks of time in place to be able to complete it, right? For me, it might be not planning my priority focus time effectively right now because we just moved. I have an excuse for it, but it feels like a real excuse for me, right? Like, so not time blocking better. My brother is doing my pages for my event coming up, time management, priority focus and consistency, distractions, not laser focus, not time blocking, priority. Look at almost all of you guys are saying something about not time blocking or priority focus time, which is kind of like time blocking, right? And so putting fires out instead of letting things burn, that's a great headline too, by the way. That's a great email. Are you putting fires out instead of letting things burn? You know what I mean? When you really need to be focusing on X, Y, Z to move your life forward. That is a great headline, because look at how many people are struggling with this a lot, right, y'all? So here's what I do. I identify what my number one priority is, I call it letting it bleed. It's like letting it bleed. When something's bleeding, you want to go stop the bleeding, but I just call it letting it bleed. If there's anything I have been so good at is letting things bleed. And I have so much empathy for people that are struggling to build a business, because like the biggest struggle I have is handing over marketing, handing over sales, handing over operations, like handing these pieces over to people and communicating what my standard is. That's like my toughest thing. And then if the standard doesn't get hit, like just feeling like, like I can't rely on it. It doesn't mean it's true. It's just, I'm just saying, I know how to manage my companies if I'm at the helm of every single meeting. If I map out the runway to completion on a deadline, I never miss my numbers and I never miss a deadline. I never run last minute. I have everything completed beforehand, right? I'll give you a great example. I usually sell out the entire zone event within 8 to 10 weeks. I've done it for years. And it's all perspective, meaning that when I did my first event, I sold it out in 10 weeks. Then I did my next event, I sold it out in 8 weeks. And then I just kept going. Do you guys hear what I'm saying? So I know what I can do as the boss of running the ship. I have had more of a challenge leading other people to do that and giving them my information to help them, right? And so I know where I'm responsible for blocks or things that have actually sucked my time. I know that. And so I have to ask myself, what's getting in the way? Is this helpful at all? Yes, no, maybe so, is how I process it. So if I blame other people, then I'm dead in the water because now I'm a victim. I know none of you guys like the word victim, but I could almost guarantee you if you don't have a result in your life, you feel like you're a victim somewhere, to somebody, from somebody, or because of something. And as long as we hold it like that, we never lead and solve the problem. Does that make sense? Yes? Yes, yes, yes. So here are the 3 things that I do to set myself back on track. Do you want them? Here's the 3 things I do. Number 1, I set blocks that I'm not available. I go write my calendar for the next 2 weeks. I set blocks that I'm just not available. If you have to lie to people, I hate to say it like that because I'm a Christian, right? It's like if you have to not tell people what you're working on to be able to get the space, use the words, I'm already committed. I'm already committed at that time. Trust me, not one person has ever asked me, what are you committed to? It's a little too much in your face, right? It's like, I'm so sorry, husband, I'm already committed at that time. He's not going to be like, well, what are you committed to? He's not going to do that, right? Or my virtual assistant or a friend or what, I'm already committed. Now that setting blocks of non-available time in my calendar, nobody needs to know what I'm committed to. They just need to know I'm committed. And that has stopped me from being a people pleaser or feeling like I have to justify myself or feeling like I have to be a BIT, you know what, the rest of that word. Like it gets me out of all those emotions that actually raise my cortisol and then make me unproductive. Okay, so here's my coaching for you. Over the next 2 weeks, I want you to go block committed timeout, not available time. And even if a friend, a family member, anybody comes and tries to get into that spot, if you want ultimate freedom, it would look like this. Say my girlfriend Kim just landed in Puerto Rico. So I'm in my non-committed, my committed. I'm in my non-available block. She's, let's go have a margarita at Encanto. And I'm like, oh my God, I got this block of time. I can go do it. I'm like, I'm already committed at that time. What other time can we do it? All I'm doing is redirecting the lead. I'm not available. I'm not, you know what I mean? And it may or may not work out time-wise, but it's irrelevant. I get my stuff done, which makes me a better person, more competent, more free, sleep better at night, be able to breathe because my number 1 priority, and there's always a new number 1 priority gets knocked out. Got it? Second thing I do is I set deadlines out. So I have deadlines set out and that fine tunes what I focus on in that, I call it priority focus time, those blocks of committed time. Okay, so wherever my deadlines are, that becomes the focus that I'm doing in that commitment time. Do you see what I'm saying? Because I have a rule, I hit my mark. So I put deadlines actually in my calendar. And the deadline has specifics. Get it? And the third thing is I have meetings with the people in my life, including my husband, including my son, including, my marketing manager, whatever. And this is where I would say I've fallen the worst in, that I realized when I was preparing for you guys that, oh my gosh, that's the one thing I haven't done effectively, is where I have a meeting and I say, make your list of everything you need to be successful, or make your list of everything you need for me to be successful. Because everybody's running their timelines in your life. And when it becomes a priority for somebody else in your life, it might not fit your timeline. And so then it's tough because people need you to meet with a nanny or a babysitter or you guys get what I'm saying? They're all priorities, but you've got to let certain things bleed. If you can have a pre-game meeting, and that could be stuff is challenging right now in your life, who are the people you need to have a meeting with? And just, what are your expectations? What do you need from me? Whatever. And just write down everything they say. And now it's up to you to go down that list one by one in front of them on that call and make decisions. If you don't want your time to be blocked off, you need to make decisions fast. There's no other way. I've never found a better way to do it. Whenever I say, you know what, let me get back to you and think on that, it screws my whole life up. It's like, don't be afraid to make a wrong decision. It's better to make a wrong decision and get data, because then you'll know how to make the right decision. Because it's so rare you ever make a perfect decision. So why do you think you're going to start now? You're not. So why add that to your to-do list? Because it takes up your bandwidth, because you have to circle back and make a decision. So you feel like, oh, I still have this thing I need to think about. And honestly, you don't have any time to think about it. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Yes. So I just like to make decisions now when I'm on the phone, so it's done. It creates bandwidth, it creates space, it lets everybody in your life feel like you're an amazing person, so you're liked for all my people pleasers, right? And everybody's clear. Does that make sense? Yes. That is my simple formula. So I'll go over it one more time. I write down all the things that are a priority to me. This helps me manage my mind. I circle the most pressing priority. And I focus on that to completion. Before I touch anything else, everything else bleeds. And I just let everybody in my life know that's going to bleed, right? That's going to bleed. That's going to bleed. So I'll give you a great example. We had a homeschool teacher that I hired before I left Puerto Rico and went to California. I put that homeschool teacher with a friend of mine for the pod that my son studies with. And we went back to California. He worked in California with a homeschool teacher while he was there, just a tutor. And then we came back here. In the process of coming back here, this homeschool teacher, every time she talked to me, she called me sweetie. I don't know why, it drove me nuts. I was like, hi, sweetie, hi, sweetie. I've never gone to my boss and said, hi, sweetie, how you doing, sweetie? It's very endearing and sweet, but like, I just don't think it's professional. And so I said to her, would you please call me by my name? Because it just doesn't feel right to me to be addressed by sweetie. Well, she just never responded to me for like a week and a half. And I'm like, hey, I'm really sorry if you took that offensively, but it feels off to me. Like, don't feel bad about it, don't feel embarrassed about it, but just respond back to me so I know what's going on, because we're coming back, in 2 weeks, and I want to make sure we've got everything set. And it takes her a week and a half to call me back. And she doesn't even call me back. She text messaged me. I had to call my friend who she's doing the pod with to get this woman to call me back. So she calls me back because she's a great teacher. She's a great human. She was so offended. So here's what she said to me. I'm sorry, but I feel like I have to work in an environment where I can be myself. And I'm from the South. And I call everybody sweetie. And I was just like, okay. Well, I still want to be called by my name. Do you know what I mean? So I guess we're at a crossroads. And so, we decided to part ways. So now I come to Puerto Rico, and honestly, I feel like I dodged a bullet regardless, because if somebody can't respect like that, I want to be called by my name, there's some other stuff going on there. Do you know what I'm saying? And so it is what it is. And so, so I'm in the search for a new homeschool teacher. And so our new house manager found somebody that my assistant brought me. I interviewed her today. But here's what I said to her. I was like, it's going to have to bleed. It's just going to have to bleed right now, because my son is important to me. Grandma can work with him for an hour and a half a day, which is not enough, but keep him up to date on his math. And he can read on his own, and we can put together chunks of time that he reads on his own. And we could put, Christian movies on for him to study and talk to us about God and do videos about that. That's how we're getting around some of that, right? And so we're basically getting in about 4 hours of Zach having a moment where he's learning how to have to manage his time a little bit this week. But even though it's a number one priority to find that homeschool teacher, it has to bleed. Because I have whatever it is, 1,500, 1,800, whatever coming to Zone event, I must make sure that the people who left their babies or left their grandchildren or got on planes or I'm their last bet, and I'm going to show them who's ready to be a millionaire. Put me, right? Like I'm going to show you, this is not an income claim. I'm going to show you exactly what to do with one funnel, right? One sequence of messaging around your superpower, and you're going to make a decision at Zone Event, and you're going to let that decision, you're going to have confidence and conviction on it so that you stop eating up your bandwidth, so that you can create the life you want and know for certain that that funnel is going to come together for you. Guys, hear what I'm saying? And my challenge is to make that happen at the Zone Event. It 100% will be the best event you've ever attended, but I cannot finish off the curriculum and the coaching pieces and the work sessions that need to be done if I am interviewing homeschool teachers. I can't, because it shifts gears. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Like, it shifts gears, and before you know it, just like you, I am human. It's like 3 hours just went by and you didn't complete what you started. Imagine if you completed your number one priority in a 3-hour block or a 2-day block. And I'm going to tell you, most of you guys are not giving 3 hours in a month to your number one priority. And that's why you're not sleeping. That's why you're exhausted. That's why you're defeated. That's why you're not making the money you want. That's why you're not getting the bonuses you want. You're not getting it because of your own damn leadership. And so you got to find a way to literally give people what they need and drive your priorities forward, or you will be your own victim. And it'll be a victim to your busyness, and you won't create the results you want. So if you're sitting on the fence and you want to come to Zone Event, we're 18 days out. thezoneevent.com/gold. thezoneevent.com/gold. Okay, somebody put that in the chat on social media. If you're watching me, put it on the chat in social media. Instagram, if you're watching me, put it on the chat in Instagram. I'm sure I have it in my bio on Instagram as well. But my point is that I know you have something that important. I take your life very seriously. Money is important, and you need to have full bank accounts. That's Zone Event. I cannot do that over 20-minute Zoom meetings or even 2-hour Zoom meetings where I can't talk to you, touch you, coach you, give my team to you. I can't do that. So for $200, $400, or $800, I can completely change your freaking life at Zone Event, but not if I'm on phones with homeschool teachers. Do you guys get what I'm saying? It's not good enough to just sell something. You need to fulfill in excellence, so that you have an explosion of success stories around you, an explosion. I hate it when people say, I'm going to go give everything away for free to get testimonials. That's bullshit, because nobody listens when they get things for free. It's the worst middle-class advice on the planet is to go do it all for free. Make people step up and invest, but you need to feel convicted about what you're putting out there, because you're driving your number one priorities home. You hear me here? So number one, what's your number one priority? Number two, get it in your vision that you're going to drive that to completion, so you have bandwidth. Because that's where your best thinking happens. That's when creativity kicks in. That's when problem solving kicks in. Because when you get that priority done, you feel like a boss, and nobody can take that confidence away from you. I'm so sick and tired of people reading books for confidence. You cannot get effing confidence from a book. You only get confidence from knocking something down to completion. That's it. That's how you get confidence. Keep your word. You could get confidence by the end of today, by literally keeping your word, and you will gain confidence. You do that 15 days out of the month and take the last week of every month off if you want, no one will stop you from hitting any goal that you put up there. Now you can represent our good Father in heaven, because now you will actually be able to take those goals inside you and those visions and those ideas. Like, God's like tempting you with getting you excited about things you see, and you're excited about working on something, then you don't follow through because you manage your time ineffectively. It's not even managing your time. It's about just driving priorities home, one at a time. If you drive a priority home one at a time, you will honestly have so much time in your week that the other things that are bleeding will get done. But because your priority bleeds for months, there's never enough time to get anything done. Who's following me here? Put me. Who's hearing me? Who's having a chain break off their mind right now? Because the minute you see it, it won't be discipline anymore. It will be thriving. Okay, you won't feel bad about it. So what's the number one priority? Set the blocks for the next 2 weeks. Set your deadlines on where your non-negotiable deadlines are. Put them in the calendar. That tells you what to prioritize, because most people don't know what to prioritize. So set your deadlines that will automatically prioritize and let the other things bleed until you hit that deadline. And then have meetings with everybody in your life that pulls on you. Everybody that pulls on you. And that could be like someone you're dating, a spouse, anything like that. Have a meeting and ask them, what are the things? Like, here's what it could look like with, pretend my husband and I were in a bad spot. We're in a great spot, but pretend we're in a bad spot. What do you need from me as a wife? Because in my head, I'm thinking every time this man looks at me with disgust or anger or, whatever, every time he looks at me, it sucks my energy. So I got to lead that. So I'm going to go have an honest conversation and be like, hey, what do you need from me to really feel like you got a good wife? What do you need from me to really feel like I'm a good mother? What do you need from me to be able to do your job as my assistant well? What do you need from me? And then you tell them if you can do that or not, right? Like my assistant might say, I need to talk to you every day for 10 minutes. That's not going to happen, right? So I'd be like, what's another way we can get that accomplished, right? And you just keep asking the questions to lead it so that leadership is not about you just getting what you want. It's about the people around you winning too. It's about the people around you winning too. That's why, again, I have a personal development leadership training, but I poo-poo on personal development all the time, even though I know it's critically important. And what I poo-poo on is more some of the people who lead it, who say, go use your voice. Are you effing kidding me? Like, yes, use your voice, but also realize that there's other people who are impacted by your voice. So just because you had the courage to come and talk about something, if you don't land it in a way that's empathetic and powerful for the people around you, then guess what? You're going to end up in a fight. And the win is not that you used your voice, you freaking failed. And so get back up and figure out, how could I do that better? Do you guys get what I'm saying? I am just so saddened to watch people hit their head up against the wall constantly. And then they're so right about why everybody else is wrong. When at the end of the day, you, my friends, I hand you back your power. That if you've got things and people in your life that are not working, you can lead it differently. And so you got to first make your priority clear that you need to knock that down, and you need to be responsible with your time chunks. And then secondly, you need to be responsible with knowing what do the people around you need, and then can you or can you not give that to them? My husband cannot give me a date night every week. It's just not in him. We've tried. It doesn't work. What he can give me is miracle walks. What he can give me is coffee dates. What he can give me is those type of things. You have to find a way to work together. Does that make sense, you guys? So I hope this helped. I feel like this week has been an incredible week of Shanda On Demands. And I feel like there's been some real great movement forward. This would be the week that you'd want to go binge watch on our Heartcore Business Facebook page, right? It's a really good week. If you want to watch it with people in your life, watch it with people in your life, right? Go watch it. Like, I think Tuesday, I talked about flagship products in a very different way. Monday, I talked about how to unleash some things off your schedule and really get what you want in life, right? How to manifest anything in 60 to 90 days. That was Monday. You get what I'm saying? Like, really everything you need is sitting on Shanda On Demand if you actually watched it and then committed to taking action within an hour afterwards. Okay, so you guys come to the Zone event. I can't wait to be with you. You got my word that I am prioritizing you. You got my word. TheZoneEvent.com/. gold for anybody sitting on the fence. Do not let your kids or your lack of vision stop you from being in that room. No, there is no virtual component to this. You're not getting a virtual stream with Zone Event, because you know what the problem is? We need to get into some rooms together. Your commitment gets renewed when we're in a room together. And some of you guys, it's time to renew your commitment, to get your passion going, to get your energy going, to get yourself to follow through. You need the people in the room. You need some partnerships for next year. You need some people that got your back other than just you, right? Or you got people on your back. You need what's in that room. So if you are hesitating to come to Zone Event, it's 18 days. You got no more time left. TikTok, it's happening now. thezonevent.com/gold. All right, you guys, I'm going to go to the On Demand Mastermind Instagram. I'm going to turn you off. God bless. And you guys on social, sending you so much love on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, wherever it is we're streaming. And please share this live with anybody that you think could use this training today. All right, I'm going to say goodbye to social